It's been a while since I've done one of these. No new updates on the cyst. I have to wait a year to get the follow-up. Probably going to be okay. Until I'm not okay. I think that's kind of what the doctor said. It's all going to be fine unless you happen to notice these things. Let's say one day you just suddenly can't look up anymore. Then it's not fine. So, here's hoping. I haven't been keeping up with the podcast. Probably because the one thing I'm not doing enough of in my social media content is being vulnerable. So the podcast is usually the most vulnerable I get. Vulnerable. What do you want to know? I've already told you about my pineal gland cyst. I've told you I didn't lose my virginity until I was 32. And beyond that, I'm not sure what else there is to tell you. I think I'm really feeling my age today. I'm 42, about to be 43. And I think, is it okay for me to have a midlife crisis? Is that all right? It seems like people have it in their 50s or 60s, but, I mean, technically, isn't this closer to the middle, best case scenario, this is, for me, this is middle of my life, right? No one in my family, my grandfather on my mother's side made it to 89. I think I had my great-great-grandmother, maybe early 90s. So best case scenario, this is my midlife crisis. Is it art? So do I have your permission to have a midlife crisis? I don't know. Do we have to file for that now? I am going to sound like an old man when I say that, but there's so much red tape in California. I wouldn't be surprised if you had to file for a midlife crisis. Don't mind the dog. He's fine. Never been in love. Never been in a long-term relationship. And, well, there's no and. I've never done that, so do I want to be in one? I don't know. I really don't know. I want to be in a long-term relationship if I'm rich. That's what I want. And that's probably a very young, immature way of looking at it. Or is it actually a very incredibly mature way of looking at it after looking around at all the relationships around me? And I feel like the root of the problem always seems to be money. I could just be projecting that on other people, but I have a feeling I'm not. And by the way, I don't want to be the guy who blames everyone else for not being in a relationship. I do not blame women for not being in a relationship. I'm sure that if I put energy into it, I could be in a relationship with someone. I am the one choosing not to be in the relationship. I do not blame women in the slightest. I think there's too much blaming of women. Oh, she doesn't see how wonderful I am. Well, are you that wonderful? Are any of us that wonderful? She's got a lot going on. Maybe she's busy. Maybe she's trying to get a nursing degree, and don't bother her when she's studying for the nursing degree. Obviously studying. That could just be me. I saw a guy trying to flirt with someone at a Starbucks while she was studying for a nursing exam. I do not blame women or men. There is the bisexual issue in that I might be bisexual. I don't know. The older I get, the more I find I'm turned off by human beings in general. And no, that doesn't mean I'm into bestiality. Maybe it's the time of year. The fall is always depressing. For me, it's death. It's what it seems to be. Just the time of death. Oh, but you have to go through fall and winter and death in order to rejuvenate, and in the spring, life comes back anew. Yeah, but it's a different life. Some other person. See, I'm going through the same emotions that the 10th Doctor in Doctor Who went through when he was about to regenerate into the 11th Doctor. Clearly, you came to that conclusion before I said it. I think I told you this before, but just in case there's any new listeners, somebody was looking to buy out people's podcasts to then feed those podcasts into AI to help the AI train, I don't know, I guess to be a podcaster itself. We're not that far away from the AI podcaster. We're probably very close to the AI podcaster. All these people listening going, well, this is better than Rogan or Maron. But they wanted to buy my podcast. Potentially, they wanted to buy a podcast. But they didn't buy mine because I don't have any guests. They wanted multiple voices. So, Too Lonely for AI is this podcast. I think that should be the slogan for this podcast. Too lonely even for AI. And so they didn't buy it, and that's where we're at. And I, throw up an episode every now and then when I'm feeling contemplative, and this is where we're at. And I feel, I'm feeling like it's too late. That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like it's too late, which is not true. Like, then there's all those people, well, Rodney Dangerfield didn't really make it until he was in his 50s. And all these other examples, which are the exception to the rule. But then again, aren't they all an exception to the rule? I think, what bums me out is that I wanted to be the well-respected, famous guy who was young, like the wonder kind, the one who made it in their 20s. Oh, he's going to be the voice of the generation. And like now, even if I do explode to stardom, as a 42-year-old, I mean, what does that even mean? Who is that? He exploded onto the world stage with a perspective on having irritable bowel syndrome, and the world went, this is finally the voice we've been looking for. This is the voice that defines a generation. Speaking of irritable bowel syndrome, I did eat some Famous Amos cookies, and I will pay for that. I'm going to pay for that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, because I'm also stressed out. That's why I ate the Famous Amos cookies. No self-control, high cholesterol, 43 years old. That's the other thing I've noticed I've started to do is I don't turn 43 until a few months from now, but I'm just kind of rounding up now. It's like, what, I'm 87. Let's just go ahead and call it. Well, if you give me permission to have a midlife crisis, please let me know at Nerdy Virgin, and I will proceed to have the aforementioned midlife crisis. And maybe that's what this podcast should be: a documentation of midlife crises and failure. Could it be that, or would that be like so many other podcasts? Excellent question. A truly excellent question, to be sure. I think the other thing that's frustrating me is... I know what it is. There's what I want to do, and there's what I think I should do. And I'm really struggling with that right now because what I want to do is make a sci-fi comedy, a balls-to-the-walls sci-fi comedy on a zero budget. But what I feel I should do is make a movie that is vulnerable, where I reveal how I feel. And now, as I'm saying it out loud, why not do both at the same time? Maybe that's the secret. Maybe that's what I need to do. The question is, can I make a 90-minute feature film and just release it on YouTube? And can I make it without anyone else helping me? Because I just really don't like collaboration. Is that possible? I guess we're about to find out. I think I need to do this. I mean, even if it's a 20-minute movie or a 15-minute movie, I really think I need to do this. Oh my God, I'm going to do this. Oh God, it's the last thing I need. All right, well, I better go do this now. No, by the way, no promises. I may start it, stop it, and then delete it, but let's just... I'm going to give it a shot. We'll give it a shot. And if it happens, it happens. How about that? Does that sound like a plan? Oh, God, it's only been 11 minutes. Like I keep telling myself I need to podcast every week, but you do understand that I hate every waking moment of this. And yes, I should be doing it with a guest. I need to do it with a guest. I need to do it with a guest. I need to podcast with a guest. That's what I need to do. That is what I need to do. Maybe that is what I need. Okay. All right. I got to do it. I got to do it. That's all there is to it. I've got to do it. So maybe I start doing it. And, all right, well, we'll see what happens. Yes, won't we? All right. I got it. Why has this podcast turned into me just making more work for myself? Damn it. I've cursed. Now it's not a G-rated podcast. Ugh. I've lost that. No, it's no longer a 4-quadrant podcast. How many more AI opportunities have I just shot in the foot with that one curse word? I ask you. I ask you. Okay, I gotta start. I can't. Normally, I try to do at least 18 or 20 minutes, but this, I can't. I've got to stop. This is enough.